Today is a very important show. This show is for anybody who's ever said, geez, I wish I could change my life. Why can't I change? And as you know, on the Rich Dad Radio Show, where I was talking about health, wealth, happiness, and spirituality, but primarily how it affects money. And for many people, they just really can't get out of the rut. Unfortunately, most people will be poor all their lives, and they don't know how to change, or they're not happy, or they have a lousy marriage, or there's something about, or they don't exercise, or they say, I'm going to go on a diet. And then they go on a diet from breakfast to lunch, and it's over after that. They just can't stick with the program. So that's what this program's about. Think about it right now as you're listening to me. What do you want to change in your life? Be it money, happiness, health, diet, exercise, being a better person, whatever it is. What do you want to change? Because we have a very important show for any of you who is brave enough to admit you have to change something. A lot of people want to change the world, but they can't change themselves. And, Kim and I have a saying always, for things to change, first I must change. And, with married couples, for things to change, first Kim must need to change.
Yeah. Whoa.
But for those of you who realize it's you who needs to change, not your wife or the economy or Obama or Clinton or whoever's running for office. So anyway, our guest today is Hal Elrod. He's the author of the book called The Miracle Morning. And let me tell you, his book keeps its promise. Boy, you can turn miracles in your life every morning if you follow what Hal Elrod says.
Well, here's what I love about this, and we're going to talk about Hal and how this all came about, and what this is all about. The Miracle Morning. It's actually a very simple process on how to have what you want in your life. So I would ask you, for example, what's the one thing? If there's one thing, what's the one thing if you could change that would have the greatest positive impact in your life? What would it be? If there was just one thing. And we're going to talk about this process because it's a miracle morning, which means morning. And I'm like, oh, I'm not a morning person. I don't like them. I like to have my coffee first. So I actually first had to change the thought that actually I love the mornings. I had to change that thought. But we are going to talk to Hal Elrod. Hal, welcome to the show.
Kim and Robert, this is such an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Well,
appreciate it.
It's a great process. Robert, you can explain how you came about this, because you've been practicing this now for about 60 days. I'm maybe into day 30.
Well, what happened was I have everything. I'm going, I have money, health, happiness, wealth, I have all this stuff, but I'm not happy. And why is that? I have a great marriage, great company, great people to work with, but why am I not happy? And I didn't know why. So for the last about a year and a half, I've been kind of depressed, going, now what else, is this all there is? Like, why should I make more money when I got enough money? I hate going to the gym, so why should I go to the gym and work out harder? And it was just like more was not going to get me there. So I flew up to Lake Tahoe, and somebody gave me Hal's book, Miracle Morning. And then from there, I flew to Washington, D.C., and I met William Finnerty, and he gave me the book, The Happiness Advantage. So I get these two books at the same time and going, well, I don't need this crap. You know who I am? And all that crap came out, but da-da-da-da-da. And then I read Hal's thing. It says, the not-so-obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m. I'm going, another one of these feel-good, BS books. I said, I've had it. But so I sat around, as usual, for a long time. And then for some reason, one day I was kind of forced to pick it up, and I started to read it. And I got through it, and I've now gone through that book 3 times. And the beauty of what Hal has done is he has packaged it. I mean, everything that Hal says I have heard before. The difference is Hal packaged it before 8 a.m. And since I read your book, Hal, I have not missed a day for over 60 days. And it's now part of my life, and it is transforming my life. So the promise of Miracle Morning is keeping its promise to me. So I want to thank you for that.
Robert, at your young age, that is impressive.
Young age, yeah.
So Hal, what is the Miracle Morning?
Yeah, the Miracle Morning. It's funny. It's such a loaded question. I've been doing it for 5 years. I wrote the book 2 years ago, and it's almost like I have trouble answering that succinctly. The Miracle Morning, in essence, is based on the premise that it's what you guys said earlier, which is if you want to change your life, first you have to change. Or if you want your life to get better, first you have to get better. And I created it when I was at my rock bottom. And when I say created it, I didn't create the book. It was never going to be a book. I created the practice when I was in 2008. We all remember the U.S. economy crashed. I went from being very successful to losing my business, losing my house. I stopped exercising, and I got deeply depressed, Robert, like you had talked about that you had suffered recently. And I had this theory. I went, you know what? If I want my life to get better, I have to get better. And I heard Jim Rohn's quote, "Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development." And I realized I'm not dedicating time every day to my personal development to become the person that I need to be to create the levels of success I want. And so I went home and I spent about an hour online researching what are the best personal development practices known to man. And I came up with a list of 6. And my first thought was, okay, now I got to go back in my research here online and figure out which of these 6 is the best. I can't do all 6 of them. So if I were to do 1 or 2, which 1 or 2 will get me the best results? And as I'm exploring, trying to figure out the answer to that question, I couldn't figure it out, because depending on which of the world's most successful people you talk to, they swear by any one of the 6. So one person says, oh no, meditation's the game changer. And another person says, no, it's affirmations that make the difference for me. And so then the big light bulb went off, and I went, what if I did all 6 of these practices every day, 10 minutes each for an hour? And the next morning I woke up, I did what is now known as the Miracle Morning. It didn't have a name back then. And within 2 months of doing it, I almost tripled my income. I went from being in the worst shape of my life to going, you know what? I know I hate running, so I'm going to run a 52-mile ultra marathon to really develop myself and challenge myself. And my depression was gone that first morning. And because my life changed so fast, I started calling it my Miracle Morning, but it was never going to be a book. And I taught it to a coaching client. She got amazing results. I taught it to all my clients. They got amazing results. And that's where the seed was planted. I thought, I have a responsibility to share this, with the world.
The reason I want to back this up is because I've been practicing it for 60 days now, maybe a little bit more, and it really has changed my life. And as I said earlier, exactly as Hal says, all of this stuff has been around. But what Hal brilliantly did was, in my world, he packaged it. He just packaged it. So it's 6 steps every morning. He brilliantly acronymed it, SAVERS, S-A-V-E-R-S. So I get up in the morning and I go through the 6 steps, SAVERS, S-A-V-E-R-S. And it is changing my life. Let me tell you how my life was before. I would get up and go to work, and I'll exercise in the afternoon. I'll do visualization, I'll never do affirmations. Let's see, I might exercise, I might go on a diet, but nothing ever gets done because I'm exhausted by the time I get home. And what I see from most people is they get up and they go to work, come back home, turn on the TV, and day is done. And they fall into what I call a rut. Right, Kim?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's what everybody's wondering right now. Okay, the 6 best practices. What are the 6 best practices? So, Hal, what are the 6 best?
Wait 1 second. I would recommend they read the book first, because it's not just the 6 steps, because everybody knows it, actually. Most people know it. But what you did, Hal, which was so brilliantly, was actually go through the logic behind the 6 steps. And that's why I had to read your book 3 times, because, you look up ADD in the dictionary, and my picture's in there. And so that's why I recommend people reading it I have to read it 2 or 3 times and going, oh. And then it started to make logical sense why to do it. Because as Kim and I know, we've handed it to so many of our friends, they read it and they don't do it. And that's the tragedy. So once again, it's Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. What we're talking about today is we're talking to Hal Elrod. He's the author of the book, The Miracle Morning, the not-so-obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m. Like I said, when I read that, I thought it was another BS book. And his website is HALELROD.com. And this program is for anybody who wants to change their life. So, Hal, how many other people have said the same things to you?
Tens of thousands of people. And it's really been amazing in that when I first wrote the book, it took me 3 or 4 years to write the book, because I dealt with a lot of fear and insecurity around the idea that people have such a rooted belief of I am not a morning person that I didn't know. I thought, how am I going to break through that? And that's been the biggest and the most pleasant surprise. Is I did a survey a while back to a few thousand people. So I got a pretty good segment to figure out, get an accurate assessment. And the question was, were you a morning person before you did the Miracle Morning, or did you not consider yourself a morning person, but now you do? And it was over 70% of the Miracle Morning practitioners, over 70% said they had never considered themselves a morning person in their entire life, and now they wake up in the morning every day and it's easy. And go ahead.
So Hal, let me just ask you this in that regard, because for me, okay, and we'll get into what.
And she's not a morning person,
no.
let me tell you.
And we'll get into what Savers is, but the first part, S, is silence, which is meditation. And I've been wanting to meditate daily for years, and I've never, ever, ever done it. And so then I started your process, and now I'm meditating every single day for 10 to 20 minutes. But what do you say to somebody who goes, hey, I don't have time. I'm not an hour every day. I don't have time. I got to get up. I got to get the kids. I got to get to work. I've got to do this. I got to do that. I don't have the time. What do you say to those people?
There's a couple things I would say. Number one is the premise of the Miracle Morning isn't even as much about starting your day earlier as it is starting it better. But I would say that, it doesn't have to be 60 minutes. In fact, there's a chapter in the Miracle Morning book called The 6-Minute Miracle Morning, where I teach you how I was able to create a 6-minute practice on the days that I was, didn't have a full 30 or 60 minutes. I was busy, but I was still able to get 70 to 80% of the benefit in 1/10 of the time.
And let me say that was such a breakthrough for me, because if I can't do it for an hour, I'm not going to do it. And when you wrote that thing about how to do it in 6 minutes, spectacular, because sometimes I have to get up at 3 o'clock to make a plane flight. And the first thing I say to myself is, well, I can't do it. But
most of us have that all or nothing mentality, where if we can't do it for our ideal duration, whether it's going to the gym or doing the Miracle Morning, most people go, well, I'm not going to do it at all. And that was where I realized it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You really can do it in 6 minutes.
And that's the brilliance of what you package. Like I said, most of the stuff you've said has been around, just been different people saying it. But you've packaged it, you've condensed it, you made it logical. So that's why I also want to tell people what it is, because everybody, well, I heard that before, man, and all that crap, I don't have time for those kinds of people. That's really the truth. But I was one of those persons. Like I hear people say, well, I played your cash flow game once. I go, I play it every single day of my life. Yeah, but I know all that. Do you know what I mean? I've heard so many poor people say, I know all that already. Which is the part of this program here. We have Hal Elrod. He's a speaker and author. He's the author of Miracle Morning, The Not So Obvious Secret Guaranteed to Transform Your Life before 8 a.m. And I've been doing it now for 60 days. Like I said, when I picked up, I met Hal up in Lake Tahoe. And I wasn't depressed because I didn't have anything. I was depressed because I have everything. You know what I mean? It's a really, you depress at either end, when you don't have it and then when you have it. So anyway, I said, well, another BS book, and then all this stuff. But for some reason, I picked that up. So I've been teasing it. Kim's going to give you the 6 steps. And the reason I don't want to give it to you right off the bat is because all of you mental geniuses out there, well, I know that. I tried that. And I know it doesn't work. But my friend tried it. And it doesn't work for him, but he's a loser anyway. You know what I mean? And I got to listen to all that stuff. So we're not going to tell you what the 6 steps are, what Savers stands for, because we want you to read the book. Because it was by me reading the book once, twice, because I knew there was something there, but I knew all the answers. And I meet so many people who know all the answers, but they got jack in their life. They know how to have a good marriage, but they can't get married. And they know how to be rich, but they're flat broke. So the reason we're not going to give you the 6 steps right now is because I want you to read the book 2 or 3 times and practice it to see if it works for you. Any comments, Kim?
Yeah, well, people ask us, what's the secret to our success, Robert? And oftentimes, we do have a secret, and our secret is personal development. And people go, what's personal development? And so what you've done is it's not you didn't create these practices. They've been around forever. And if you research and start looking at the highly successful people, they all have some degree of personal development that they practice. And so what I'm loving about this whole process is, in a short period of time, it becomes, and this is why you talk about doing it for 30 days, it becomes a habit. It's just like money. People say, oh, well, yeah, I'm gonna start practicing and start educating myself on money, but it doesn't become a habit. They don't do it.
Or diet and exercise. That's my thing. I'm going to diet, and I start at breakfast and end at lunch. It's over with. And then exercise. The big breakthrough for me, Hal, was you talked about doing a triathlon. That was my mindset. So what I would do is I wouldn't exercise for like 5 days, then I go to the gym and kill myself. And then I ache for 5 more days. But what Miracle Morning did for me is, like you said, I can do it in 6 minutes. So I got into the habit of exercising only for 4 minutes. And it has changed my life. But I do it every single morning. I still go to the gym. I still go hiking. I do those other things. But it's what you package, and I do call it packaging these brilliant ideas, brilliant practices before 8 a.m. into one simple book. What do you want to say about that?
I think that you're right. I mean, the Miracle Morning changed my life, as I said, and that's how it all started. And I felt this need to pay it forward. And as I also mentioned, it took me 3 or 4 years to write the book because of this kind of fear and insecurity. Well, one of them was I didn't invent early rising. And also these
or
practices
meditation or affirmations or all that other stuff.
Yeah, I didn't invent the lifesavers. And then there was a couple things that I realized. Number one, anyone you study, all these gurus, if you will, like Tony Robbins or Robin Sharma, these or even Tim Ferriss, they all talk about how important a morning ritual is. But I realized that none of them ever made it like the focus, because it's when you change how you start your day, you change how every day is, the quality of each day, and then that, like you said, you change your life, Robert. And I realized no one's ever focused on, this isn't just one of 10 things you might consider in your life. How you start your day is arguably the single most important change that you can make. So I realized no one's ever focused on it as the thing that you need to do. And so that's
again,
where
what you did was you packaged what these gurus were saying, and you put it all together in one acronym, which is brilliant. And there was something about, I called the resistance to change. They'd rather stay in the rut every single day, go to work, come home, turn on the TV, and eat bonbons. You know what I mean? And then their lives don't change.
Yeah, I think part of it is that, in the book, when I talk about the 6-minute miracle morning, is that's what, if there's anything that I'm good at, I always joke, like, I'm no writer. I don't consider myself this amazing writer. If there's anything I'm good at, it's making things really simple and actionable. And I think, like, with the 6-minute miracle morning, people were like, wow, I could do 6 minutes. And then they try the 6-minute miracle morning. They go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. The results I get from a 6-minute miracle morning, I'm going to try a 30-minute. And they do that, and they go, that's amazing. And then it's like you thought you didn't have time in the morning, but all of a sudden people go, well, I'm going to get to bed 30 minutes earlier, or I'm going to go to bed an hour earlier instead of watching TV and vegging out on the computer so that I can wake up an hour earlier. And then you create that time, or you at least switch it around so it becomes extremely productive in the morning versus just kind of wasting it at the end of the day.
Yes. And we will give you the 6 steps eventually today. We gave you the first one, S is silence, which is meditation. But here's what's more important is what Robert's saying, read this book, is because a lot of your book, Hal, it is repetitive because you're making a point over and over, which is very, very, very important because people have to break through that thought of, I don't have the time, I'm not going to do this, it takes too much time.
Worst of all is they know all the F and answers.
Yeah. But here's something that you say in your book, and I really like this because I faced this morning. I went, oh, there it is. I saw it. You say your first thought in the morning is usually the last thought you had before you went to bed. So I got up this morning and the alarm clock went off and I went, oh, already?
Yeah.
Instead of, yay, it's going to be great. And it's like, it really is reprogramming my mind to think the way I want to think.
And that's where Kim and I are different because I love mornings. I generally get up at 4 o'clock. But the difference is I get up at 4 o'clock and make a pot of coffee, drink it, and then I go to work.
Yeah.
And then I'm too exhausted to do the miracle afternoon, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
I know I should exercise. I know I should do this. I should do that. But I am exhausted. I turn on the TV and eat bonbons.
And so, Hal, you're saying, again, I want to just go back to this because it's kind of important. You're really programming your mind to how you're going to wake up in the morning. You say the key is to really decide that you're going to have to actively create a positive expectation for the next morning. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean that's there's a the miracle morning, these 6 practices are kind of the what to do. But in terms of like the why to do it and the overall philosophy is how you start your day sets your mindset and the context for the rest of your day, which sets which creates your life. And most people start the day with resistance and procrastination and a lack of self-discipline by hitting the snooze button.
Or
else,
else,
you think about that.
But there's
when
also
you hit the
guys.
snooze button,
There's
you're
also
literally
guys.
sending them.
There's
Rob,
also guys like me who are not alcoholics but workaholics. So I get up and I go to work, but I don't take care of me. I'm very good at work. I make a lot of money. I buy everything I want, but I'm not taking care of me. So you have people who don't like mornings, like my wife Kim, And I love mornings, except I just habitually feed my addiction to work.
To productivity, sure.
Yeah.
And so, Kim, to answer your question very directly about what did I mean by your first thought in the morning is usually the last thought you have before bed. If you think about, like, when I was a kid on Christmas morning, for me, when I went to bed Christmas Eve, I couldn't think. I was so excited for the morning to come. And as soon as your eyes open up, and if you're listening and you don't celebrate Christmas, just think about like a vacation or your first day at a new job or your first day of school. Think back to a time where you were so excited to wake up and get out of bed that it didn't take any effort or energy. I don't care. Christmas Eve, if I got 4 hours of sleep, I was still bouncing out of bed the next morning. And what I realized is that we could create that every single day of our lives. We could recreate that experience, but most people go to bed going, oh my gosh, I got to get up in 6 hours and go, right? Then the alarm goes off and their first thought is, oh my gosh, it's already been 6 hours. I'm so tired.
Yep, that's it.
So once again, it's Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. We're talking to Hal Elrod. He's the author of The Miracle Morning, the not-so-obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m. And we do our best at the Rich Dad Radio Show to only speak about things that we actually do. And I've been doing Hal's program, The Miracle Morning, for about 60-something days right now. It has really transformed my life. I feel younger, healthier. I used to come up to my office here, and it's only a few steps, but every day I get more and more tired going up the steps. My heart would be racing and all this. I'm saying, oh, it's just I'm getting old and I'm working so hard. My mind kicked in. So by doing the Miracle Morning, the 6 steps, Savers, which we'll tell you later, and reading the book 3 times, but it's really changed my life, especially the health and diet part, which is something I've always struggled with. Getting up in the morning is not hard for me. It's just that I go to work and I don't take care of anything else.
And let me tell you something that happened for me. One of the thing is Savers, and V is visualization. And I don't typically haven't done a lot of that in the past. So here's what happened for me one morning. I'm sitting there, I'm doing my visualization, and I have to do this webinar that's coming up. And I'm like, I just was blocked. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I visualized, I was in Hawaii, and I visualized I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to sit on the lounge chair, I'm going to close my eyes for a little bit, and an idea is going to pop into my head, and I'm going to just start writing, and this idea for this webinar is going to come to me. So I swear to God, I get up, I go downstairs, I sit on the lounge chair, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is the idea. This is exactly where I need to go, boom, 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 and it happened. I mean, it's like magic. It is. It's like magic.
It's the power of your subconscious.
Yes.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
It is amazing. Hal, what you have done is truly a miracle, so I want to commend you for that. And again, the book is simply written. It's not redundant. It says the same thing in more expanded ways. And every time I read it, I see something I never saw before. So that's, and for me, the word savers, it's exercise. And like I said, I'm the type of person, since I don't exercise for 5 days, then I go to the gym and I kill myself, and I hate exercising. So now, rather than killing myself, I get up every morning and exercise for only 3 minutes. But, pretty intense, not tense, but important exercise.
Yeah, Robert. And by the way, if you want to take your exercise to a slightly to the next level, there's a great app for the iPhone called the 7-Minute Workout app. 7-Minute Workout.
Hey, hang on. I'm still at 3.
I know. I'm trying. This is like your morning ultra marathon.
Don't burst my little bubble. I'm at 3 minutes. Because if I stay at 3, I can go to 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my problem is I am obsessive compulsive. And the hard thing for me to do is stay at 3, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If I do that, but what I do is I go and I do too much, and then I quit. So it's affecting everything. So this is the point. The SAVERS is one package, because it's all about me. It's all about you. It's about how it's all related, and that's what Hal did with Miracle Morning. And what we're talking today is Hal Elrod. He's an ex-speaker and author of The Miracle Morning, the not-so-obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life. And like I said, when I got his book a month or 2 ago, 3 months ago, I thought it was a bunch of BS, because I heard all the stuff before. I've been in personal development since 1973. I've heard about this stuff. The trouble is I don't do it. And so the reason we archive our programs is because the more you hear something, the more it sinks in. In the study of neuroscience, is what happens for people is we get into ruts. We have ruts in our brains. We have ruts in the road. And so you go to work, you come home, you have a beer and watch TV, and it's over. And so, well, how come I can't change my life? It's because you're in a rut. So that's where repetition comes in if you actually listen. So the beauty of Miracle Morning is it got me out of my rut. And so the reason we're not telling you what Savers means right off the bat is because if you've been in any kind of personal development, you've heard it before. The reason we want you to read the book is maybe you'll do it rather than say, yeah, I know all that. It just drives me nuts when I hear people say that. Or, yeah, I played your game once. I said, well, I play it every day. I played golf once. How come I'm not a pro? And really, life is about what you repeat. And that's why Hal's book, The Miracle Morning, what you do before 8 a.m. is how you start your day and how we packaged some of the most brilliant metaphysical practices to change your life into the acronym SAVERS, SAVERS. And when we say it to you, oh, yeah, I know that chart doesn't work. Right?
Hal, your website is tmmbook.com, tmmbook.com. And so let's talk about what SAVERS, SAVERS. S is silence, meditation.
You know how hard that is to sit in silence? Jeez, holy moly.
Kim,
But
I
I
don't
it.
think you've ever heard Robert in silence, have you?
Never. It's rare.
Well, my brain's always chattering away.
Well, most of all of ours are chattering
But
all
that's
the time.
but that's the challenge is how do you not only silence your brain, but also how you control what your brain's saying. Okay.
So when I first came up with the 6 practices that are now known as the Savers, that was actually it was that very first morning, or that I was considering this whole idea. And at first I almost scrapped the whole idea because when I had the 6 practices written down, I had heard of all of them, Robert, just like you said. And our nature is to go, I already know that.
And I tried that. It didn't work.
Yeah, those are 4 of the most dangerous words in the English language. I already know that. And I think we have to replace them with, am I living that? And right as I was about to scrap the idea because I thought I've heard of all of these, I realized I'm not living any of these. And the world's most successful people do them every day, or at least one of them. So if I did all of them, that would give me a significant advantage. So here are the 6 practices, and I'll say just something on each one potentially as to what makes it different in the Miracle Morning. I think what I do is I really try to simplify them and make them actionable, so you don't just hear a concept, but you go, oh, okay, here's the first 3 steps to do this in as little as a couple minutes a day. I can do that, and then you do it, you try it, it's easy, and then you get the benefit, and it expands on the practice expands. The S is for silence, which is typically meditation or prayer, depending on what you want to do, but you could do a combination of the two. The benefits of meditation are so profound and proven scientifically that once you dive in and learn about it, you really can't skip it without going, wow. Why is it that some of the most successful financial minds, Ray Dalio, who is the largest hedge fund manager in the world, he swears by meditation not as the key to his spiritual success. He says it's the key to his financial success.
Let me add another piece to that. The difference between meditation and prayer. Meditation is silence, and prayer is you talking. And if you don't have silence, then God can't talk to you. Not religious, but the hardest thing about silence is shutting yourself up. So that's why I love the meditation part. As far as praying goes, I had no problem with it. I'm always asking for more, but I never had the silence part. So when you added silence to meditation, as I'm fidgeting away every morning trying to get silent, I just have to tune out me. And when I tune out me, things happen.
That's a great distinction,
So
Robert.
Hal, S is silence. A is affirmation.
A is for affirmations, and affirmations have a bad rap because the way they've been taught over for
Very
decades is
airy-fairy.
lying to yourself. I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
No, you're not. I weigh 120 pounds. No, you don't.
Let
they
me
teach you to lie to
gag right
yourself.
now because that's why I hate affirmations.
And that doesn't resonate. So in the book, I teach you how to create what I call actionable affirmations, which are affirmations that program your subconscious and conscious mind to actually do the things that you need to do each and every day to ensure that you achieve the goals that you have in your life.
So
Okay,
let me ask an example then. Okay, so we're in Money Show, and I get a lot of women.
Yes.
They talk to me, and they have so fear. They can't take that first step. They're so afraid of parting with their money. They're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of looking stupid. So give me an example of a simple affirmation that somebody could use.
Yes, here's a popular one that has been perpetuated over the years. I'm a money magnet. Money flows to me effortlessly and in abundance.
Gag me with a spoon. I tried that one. That one doesn't work.
What the hell does that mean?
Oh, that makes me nauseous because I was hanging out with those airy-fairy fruitcakes saying all that stuff.
And the problem is, if you abide by that affirmation, then you just sit there and wait for money to show up. And we all know that people that do that, they're cash poor.
So,
Hey,
so what's missing?
Would be much more likely, I'm committed to earning X amount of dollars by taking X action each and every day by this date.
Yeah, see,
So
Hal,
for me,
but
it's-
Hal. So this is the distinction. Like I'm doing this in 783, is what you changed was that's kind of a prayer. You asking for what you want. It's a goal. And why your A part of Savers was so brilliant, it's on page 69, is the 5 simple steps to create your own affirmations. And when I read those 5 little steps, and what I started to do was just write, I write, and my affirmations started to coming out because I was writing them. So I want to encourage you all to buy this book just to read the book and get to those 5 simple steps to create your own affirmation, because every morning I was writing, not thinking, writing these 5 simple steps down. I was reprogramming my neuroscience, the pathways in my brain, to really say what I wanted versus what everything else was wanted. And I created my own affirmations. And that, to me, was the biggest breakthrough in your book, was page 69, the 5 simple steps to create your own affirmation. In other words, to tell yourself what you want.
So what's V?
So the V is for visualization. And much like affirmations, the way that visualization has been taught over the years is, I think it's not effective, because they teach you to visualize, the metaphysical gurus say visualize the perfect outcome, like your dream house or $1 million check. But the most important component is you have to visualize the action you need to take today to ensure that long-term vision comes true. So if you're trying to run a marathon and you hate running, don't just visualize yourself crossing the finish line and give yourself a false sense of accomplishment. Visualize yourself lacing up your running shoes that day.
Amen.
At the time you're going to do it, heading out the front door with a smile on your face. That gets you into action. That will get you to train for the marathon.
Amen. So, Hal, all I do is visualize 3 minutes a day right now. For 60 days has brought my health. I'm getting stronger and stronger every day, which may step me up to 7 minutes. Once again, it's Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. We're talking today to Hal Elrod, speaker and author. He is the author of Miracle Morning, the not-so-obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m. In other words, the way I package it, it's what I do after I get up and before I go to work. And what I was trying to do was go to work and then do it after I came home from work.
I tried it in the afternoon. It doesn't work as
never
well.
got it.
It doesn't quite work as well. Okay,
Kim,
let's move to E.
Okay, the E is for exercise. And I'm not saying that you replace, if you like to go to the gym in the evening or the afternoon, you don't replace that. But the benefits of getting your heart rate up, the oxygen and blood flowing to your brain, releasing endorphins first thing in the morning impacts your quality of life all day long.
And that's what I'm saying is I thought I had to sweat and struggle for 90 minutes. That was the rule. And now I sweat and struggle for 3 minutes.
Well,
and I'm actually stronger.
Yeah, and I exercise regularly. I mean, I'm that's something I do. But for me, I don't stretch. So I use the E for stretching, and that has made a huge difference. And
not only that, Hal, because you know how when your mind opens, you see other things you hear that you never heard before. Mm-hmm. I also heard that the thing that kills you is sitting in a seat. And what I was doing is getting up and sitting in my chair for 10 hours a day. And I was wondering why I was getting fatter, unhealthier, unhappier, richer, but unhappier and less exercise. So that 3 minutes, Hal, just by programming my brain to do 3 minutes, I can do that. 90 minutes, I check out. And that was the brilliance on exercise for you. I do it every morning faithfully. I still hate it just as much as ever, but I can handle 3 minutes.
You can handle 3 minutes of pain, sure.
Yeah. And then, it's not even pain. It's just I do something for 3 minutes.
Yep. So the R is for reading, and obviously I'm not talking about 50 Shades of Grey or Harry Potter books, right? But reading is, as we all know, I mean, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I mean, you read the books that will allow you to develop the knowledge and the skills to literally improve any area of your life. That's the cool part. There is no area of your life there's not a book available to teach you how to improve it as quickly as you want.
Well, what the Sean Accor said in Happiness Advantage, he says, what you look at in the morning can affect the rest of your day. So if you want to be happy, then you better read and look at something that makes you happy and energized. But if you watch Fox and CNN, you go out depressed. You
Yeah,
know?
well, it's pretty negative
that was
stuff out
me.
there. Yeah.
So I actually bought a book a long time ago, and this is the other brilliant part of your thing. I all have a
I got so many books I
I
haven't
have
read.
so many books I haven't read.
Okay. Now I get to read
And what
them.
what you've done is I read for like 3 to 10 minutes every morning, but something that's good for me, not CNN and Fox, if you know what I mean. So I'm reading this Gandhi book. I've gone through the Gandhi book 3 times, as well as your book 3 times. And it's changing my entire outlook just by reprogramming my brain before I go to work.
So a little bit of reading. It's amazing how many books you start going through. I love it. Okay,
Yep.
S.
And the final S, and again, I really owe my wife and the thesaurus for this one, because this word was not even in my vocabulary. But the word is scribing, and scribing it means writing, and journaling is one of the practices that Jim Rohn and all these folks really swear by, to document what you're grateful for, set your intentions for the day in writing, etc. Prioritize your actions, and so that's kind of the final piece of the savers. And any one of these can change your life, and when you do all 6 of them, it simply accelerates how fast your life changes.
Well, let me explain why the scribing works. Is because when I actually start to write, I'm reprogramming my brain, the neuroscience. I'm saying this is what I want rather than what I got to get this deadline and that and all this stuff. I write down every morning, so by the actual act of going through savers, and the S comes at the end of it, I started writing down what I want. That's when I changed my life. I didn't just think, I was in action. Your thing on affirmations, I just write all that stuff out. So I do 2 writing processes, and it's just accelerating the change in my life.
And I love the journaling piece, because I've always subscribed to that. I just haven't done it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I know what you said, Hal, is I have all these piles of journals that are empty.
But you also said how really, really important is sometimes you write, these are things I'm grateful for. These are good things that happened to me today. And it really programs your mind to start looking at the positive, and looking towards optimistic things, and looking towards what you want versus what you don't want.
By the way, if you guys haven't seen it, go to 5minutejournal.com. FIVE. That is my favorite journal, and they make both a hardcover and an app for the phone. I use both, actually, but yeah, that's actually been my favorite of all. I've tried a lot of journals. 5-minute journal has been the best one.
All right, and Hal, you've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people contact you. Do you have a story of somebody that's actually used your process who has transformed their life?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge is
we're doing it every day. We're transforming our lives every day. Yes,
Are
Robert
you saying
is.
I haven't changed?
No, I just want somebody besides you and me.
Besides you guys.
Besides us.
No, I mean, I'll just give you the most recent one. I've gotten stories, everything from people that have used the Miracle Morning to lose weight, increase their income, get off depression medication. Really amazing, profound stories. But most recently, last week, I had a guy post in the Miracle Morning community, which is our Facebook group with 15,000 people that do the Miracle Morning. It's very interactive. He posted a picture of himself holding his waistband out. In 3 months, he lost 60 pounds, and he says it is because of the Miracle Morning. 60 pounds in 3 months. It's just amazing.
And that's why I'm backing up what you're saying by packaging savers, because it's really all about one thing, you. And they're all interrelated. And that was absolutely the most brilliant thing I've ever seen, Hal. Like I said, the reason I wanted to save what savers are is because this stuff has been around for years, but they're all powerful as individual steps. But when you package them into 6 steps, man, is it powerful. It's unbelievable what you can do before 8 a.m., before you go to work. So I want to really congratulate for that. I thank you for handing me your book. And again, I want to thank you for your contribution to humanity.
Absolutely, and I'm so grateful that you allowed me to share it with your audience, Robert and Kim. It's really an honor. Really grateful for that.
And I want people to buy the book and read it 2 or 3 times and go through the process till it sinks into your body, into your psyche.
And go to tmmbook.com or Hal Elrod, ELROD.com, because there's a lot of great information there. And again, a lot of what I see too, Hal, is you're also helping people discover what it is they really want.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Amazon is the best place to buy the book for anybody that wants to. If you want to buy the book, Amazon.com is the best place to get it. Whether it's a paperback, Kindle, or whatever format, audiobook, it's all on Amazon.
Right. Once again, the book is called Miracle Morning. I thank you for changing my life and making my life happier, better, and wealthier. So it's a fantastic job.
I can attest to that. calmer, a little calmer too at times.
Except for that
Except for the
Toyota
Toyota
driver
Prius.
this morning.
A calmer Robert Kiyosaki. That's
yeah,
amazing.
I know. It's,
Well,
it's quite amazing.
This Prius cut me off 3 times, and I held off for 2, but by the 3rd time I couldn't help myself. So anyway, otherwise, it'd been the first time I would have got on it. So I want to thank you, Hal. It's a
Thanks,
fabulous
Hal.
book.
Great gift.
For a young
Thank you.
guy, you're wiser beyond your years, man. Thank you. It has transformed my life and Kim's life. It's a powerful process. It takes some of the 6 best disciplines in the world and package it. If you do it before you go to work every morning, your life will change.
And we talk a lot about personal development, and people think, oh, it's so airy-fairy. This is not airy-fairy, and this is really does work. It's practical, simple steps, and it's just a matter of practicing
The
it
hard
and
part
doing
is
it. Doing it, yeah.
And then now I look forward to doing it because that's how I set my day off.
And actually, magic does really happen out of it.
Yeah.
It really does. Things happen, and you go, wow, where'd that come from?
Yeah. And once again, Hal's website is Hal Elrod, HALELROD.com, or tmmbook.com. And if any questions, please submit it to Rich Dad Radio for Ask Robert. So, Melissa, what's the first question?
Our first question today comes from Kathy in New York. Favorite book, Midas Touch. She says, what are the traits, not skills, of a successful entrepreneur?
Well, I don't know how you can separate, sets, traits, and skills, because what we're talking about with savers, it's not just what you do, you think, emotional, and all this. It's what you can do, which mental, physical, and emotional. So too many people try and compartmentalize success when it's all one thing. As I said this morning at the start of the show, you want to change your life. You want to change the world, change your life. So many people, well, why don't the economy change? Well, change your effing life. Work on yourself. That's what Kim and I believe, right?
I think that is the key in terms of, and I said it in the show, and so listen to the show again. You can listen to it on a podcast. You can go to Rich Dad Radio app. But I've said before, our secret weapon is our personal development. We work on ourselves because I do think one of the traits, and actually we had Barbara Corcoran from the Shark Tank on the show, and she said this, that one of the key traits is your ability to come back from a setback. A lot of us get hit hard when we're entrepreneurs and we're going forward and we're making changes and we want to change the world. But if you can come back and stand up and keep going, it's a huge trait.
And the other trait is
that gets built from personal development.
Yeah, but can you change yourself?
Yeah.
And what we're talking about on this program is people get in a rut. They get up, they go to work, they come home, they have a couple of beers and watch TV. And they wonder why their lives don't change. Because it actually is a mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual rut you get into. And the other part about what trait is, don't hang out with losers. If you hang out with people who will bring you down, get rid of them. Move on. Doesn't mean don't love them. But some of these people, they get off on dragging you down. And I'm very careful of those kinds of people. Now, the beauty of Hal's book is it gave me the power not to be a jerk about it, which is hard to do because I'm trained to be a jerk. But anyway, is to be nice to people when I want to kind of move them off dead center. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I don't have to be a jerk about it. So that's the big change for me. Next question.
Our next question comes from Justin in Salt Lake City. Favorite book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, Robert, after all your success, how do you and Kim stay motivated?
Well, that's a great question. Is because when I was down, I had nothing. It was hard to get motivated. But what was really strange was about a year and a half ago, I realized I had it all, and then I got really depressed. When somebody says, you want to make more money? I'm going, no. Do you want a new wife? I said, better not do that one. You know what I mean? And what people do a lot of the times is they repeat something. Like I have a lot of men friends who are on their 4th and 5th wives, and I'm going, Jesus Christ, you still think you're Romeo?
They
looking
love
for
a little
Juliet?
drama in their life.
I'm going, what is wrong with you guys? But they don't ever move off of their success, if you know what I mean. So that's why I really love Hal's book, Miracle Morning, and the other book is Happiness Advantage, was by reading both those books simultaneously, I got to move off of success rather than going backwards and chasing 19-year-old girls someplace, which would be suicidal.
Then you'd have then you go back to having nothing again.
You see people do that. They go back and do the same old stupid things. It's just ridiculous. So when I reached what I considered what I wanted with my life, like a great company, great people, great friends, that song is what else do I have to do? Hal's book stepped in, Miracle Morning. It has changed everything. I'm happier about going forward now, not looking at the past as something.
Yeah, and when we built up Rich Dad, we built a lot of businesses, Rich Dad Company, but I think the main question we ask is, what's next? You know, we're here, we've done this, what's next?
Yeah, it's really strange to say, but I said to Kimmel years ago, someday we get to the point where we had so much money coming in, we wouldn't want any more money. And
You
it's
said
not
the
that
problem, our problem would be we'd have too much money, and I'm like, oh, that's a good problem.
But it is a
But
problem.
actually, it does become a problem.
'Cause we're
It's a
offered-
good problem.
We have so much money coming in, got to keep placing it and all this stuff. And I want to do something else. You know, some people haven't made the money yet, so Miracle Morning will help you make the money. Or some of you haven't got the right relationship. Well, Miracle Morning may help you find that relationship. But you got to change you first. For things to change first, you must change, or I must change. Next question, Melissa.
Our next question comes from Marianne in Omaha, Nebraska. Favorite book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She says, what non-business activities help you with your business success?
Well, that's a great question because Kim and I have been in personal development since we met, right?
Yeah, since day one.
And when I came back from the Marine Corps in 1973, I was depressed. You know, I was a pilot. I did everything I wanted to do. You know, I was doing things I shouldn't have done. But when I came back, I said, you know, go become a pilot. Now I am a pilot. You know, I was depressed. I was also not happy with my government. We were killing people we shouldn't kill, the same as we're doing with ISIS today. So that's when I went in and did a program called EST. And for 3 days, I sat there at the Look at Me. The first time I'd ever done that. And I found out that I'm a pretty good guy. That changed my life. From there, I could never go back to the MBA programs in corporate because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So it's personal development, right, Kim?
Yeah, I mean, the non-business thing, I mean, I'm looking now, and actually since reading Miracle Morning, I'm reading a lot more. You know, instead of putting on the 6 o'clock news, I'm sitting outside reading a book, and that's so much more enjoyable, and I leave feeling positive and optimistic, not depressed and negative from the crappy news that's out there all the time.
So there's 2 points. You know, I was unhappy when I didn't have anything, and then ironically, I was unhappy when I had everything. So that's where Miracle Morning has taken me to the next level, because I don't want to go backwards and do stupid things, you know, like start another company just because I don't want to start another company. I've already done that.
And I think, too, it's an attitude because, I mean, I love golf. And you'd think, well, how does golf help in business? But in golf, you're always wanting to be better. You're always wanting to improve. You're always trying to figure out. So you have to practice, and practice is what business takes. You have to have a coach. That's what business takes. So it's very similar, very aligned. But that's part of our practices.
So for things to change, I must change. And that's what we work on, us, me.
Next question, Melissa.
Our next question comes from Joyce in Las Vegas, Nevada. Favorite book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She says, what's most important, smarts, experience, or luck?
All 3. I don't know why people have to compartmentalize stuff. You know, like some people say, well, I'd rather be happy than rich. I say, well, why can't you be rich and happy? Why do you have to say you can't have it all?
Why can't you say just one? You can just have one. That's what you say. You can only
I just
have one.
don't understand that mentality.
Yeah.
I really don't understand that mentality, and that's why I love today's show with Hal Elrod. We want you to have what you want. We don't want you to have what I want. What do you want? What are you preventing yourself from having? Really, that's the question. Why do you hold yourself back when you can have it all? That's my question.
My only comment to Joyce is it all goes together. I mean, smarts, experience, luck. The more experience, the smarter you get, the luckier you become because more opportunities come. The problem, I think, for some people is the smart is like, I know all the answers.
That's what I was concerned about with today's program.
Yeah, if you think you know all the answers, then you're not going to go out and adventure new things, and you're not going to learn, and you're not going to grow. But if you have that mentality, good luck. But otherwise, if you have got this growth mindset, then all 3 go together.
And that's why I started this program. When Hal first gave me the book, I said, I know all that stuff. And I realized that's why I don't know anything.